Good morning and good afternoon. Thanks for taking your valuable time for our webinar today. It's morning for some of you, afternoon for others. We're 45 minutes or so today, and we'll stay till the top of the hour for any questions that linger on in the end. So feel free to drop off at 45 minutes if you have an appointment. My name is Guy Steves, and thanks for taking the time again to join us on this important topic of upgrading, migrating your AX ERP to D365 Finance and Supply Chain Management, formerly Finance and Operations. I'm Guy Steves, and I'm with ETG Consulting Canada, a Gold Dynamics ERP and ISV partner, one of your hosts today, along with Microsoft's Dan Meny and Graziella from Aero Electronics. Dan, who will introduce himself in a moment, will be delivering most of the thought-provoking migration content today. I'll chime in with a few questions from time to time. We also have 3 Dynamics technical people from ETG, my colleagues, online with us today to handle your technical questions along the way by monitoring the Q&A panel on the right side of your screen. They will also be here to answer your technical inquiries in the question period at the end as well, all the way to the top of the hour if necessary. Our technical team today is online from our Atlanta office and our Europe office and our Vancouver office. A few housekeeping and things you should know. Back to the Q&A panel. You should be able to find it on the top right-hand side. Your panel may be open. If it's closed, you'll see the Q&A panel icon to open it up. Your questions will be responded to throughout the webinar, and when you publish it with the send button, our moderators can see it, and again, we'll have more time for questions in the end. Some good news is that potentially you can win by a draw a Microsoft Black Roots jacket by responding to the 1 question survey that Graziella, our event producer, will be presenting for you at the end of the presentation. And we'll also be sending out the webinar slides likely tomorrow, along with a few related migration and cloud PDFs or links to relevant areas to help remind you of today. Plus, we'll send you a reminder to respond to the follow-up preferences, which is a multiple choice questions to give you a chance at winning the Microsoft prize. 1 minute on ETG Consulting Canada. We have delivered over 120 Dynamics ERP, AX, and Finance and Operation implementations over the last 20 years, including over 6 full AX upgrades from the latest versions to Finance and Operations and the cloud. Dynamics ERP is all we do. We offer competent and best practices centric implementations and 24/7 customer support for North America and Europe. Okay, on to the agenda, a quick look. As you can see, we're going to move on to talk about the AX end of support announcement, a lot on the Dynamics migration program, and please ask any questions along the way if you're not sure. We'll also talk about the benefits of moving to the cloud. We'll do the quick survey and we'll move on to questions and answers. So just a few words before I introduce you to Dan here on what you'll walk away with today. The cloud provides more and better integration abilities, and specifically better integration with Office 365, Power BI, and D365 CRM. No servers are required, fantastic security, and remote features to accommodate COVID-related working environments that have changed. 1 version with continuous updates, lower total cost of ownership that Dan will speak to as well, and more. So now I'll turn it over to Dan Meny, Canadian National Channel Manager, D365 applications for Microsoft. Dan? Over to you, Dan.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can.
All right, thanks Guy and team. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I hope everyone's remaining healthy and coping with the new reality we're living in. I know personally I've got a 2-year-old you may hear screaming in the background, as well as a 6 and 8-year-old. So definitely some challenges I'm sure you can all relate to personally and professionally. Secondly, I see a lot of familiar AX customers that join the call. So thank you for joining us. And on behalf of Microsoft, thank you for your continued business and for your trust. My name's Dan Meny. I'm a Dynamics 365 channel manager at Microsoft Canada. Been with Microsoft for about 15 years now, and work closely with our business applications partner ecosystem over that time. The goal of today's webcast is to help you understand your options to migrate from Dynamics AX 4.0, 2009 or 2012. And just want to be clear on the intent of the webcast today. It's really just to discuss the service and support options for AX, to discuss the migration program, and to provide options on how you may best do due diligence on moving forward. The intent is not that you will change partners, but work with your current Dynamics partner. We're going to introduce an investment we're making in what we call the Dynamics Migration Program, which is aimed at providing clarity and demystifying on-premise to cloud migrations for finance and operations. So our AX customers they're at an important crossroads. You've got several options. Do we leverage our on-premise maintenance or software assurance benefits to move to the latest and greatest version of D365 on-premise, or do you take advantage of the cloud version? You can see by the infographic on your screen now, we have announced end of service for our legacy applications, those being AX 2009 through AX 2012 R3, with mainstream support ending in October of 2021. So it's important to note, in terms of new customer acquisition, about 95% of our customer base today, net new customers, are purchasing cloud, not on-premise. And we'll walk you through some reasons why. We're optimistic that our on-premise customer base will leverage their prep or maintenance to migrate to Dynamics 365 and continue to utilize all the great benefits and experience with our AX legacy products, but also enjoy the world of possibilities with real-time data and increased security of the cloud.
So Dan, is there extended support available?
Good question. Just until there is, it's really limited to security hotfixes and regulatory updates only for AX 2012 R3, and that support will end October 1st of 2023. So it's limited really to just ensure the platform's secure, but new innovation on the platform for on-premise will cease as of October 2021.
Great, thanks.
Good question. So Microsoft collects a lot of survey data. We call it internally the voice of the customer. And we've heard many customers say why they don't want to move to the cloud. For some, migrating is too complicated. For others, it may be dealing with a lot of change and change management involving multiple stakeholders, not to mention many process revisions. Others may not grasp the benefits of cloud and why cloud is the best and safest place to host their data, and specifically their ERP system. We all know digital transformation, it's the word's used quite a bit. It can be complicated, it can be time consuming, leaving your vision or desire for transparency or growth on the back burner. So we understand many challenges you may face, and we created a program specifically to address all those challenges, giving you the power to turn your switch on accelerating your business growth in 3 simple steps, and with comprehensive end-to-end support backed by Microsoft. So I'm going to play a little short video, nice and concise, which will walk you through at a high level our Dynamics 365 migration program. It's delivered by Alyssa Taylor, who's our Corporate Vice President of Microsoft Business Applications.
Thank you for being a Microsoft Dynamics customer. We know you're facing an important decision about how to modernize your current on-prem solutions and potentially migrate to the cloud. Once you make a move to Dynamics 365, you can access cutting-edge technology, control costs and complexity, and improve overall IT productivity. If you're a Microsoft Dynamics on-prem customer today, then you're already cloud ready. And we know this can be a tough decision, and there's a lot to consider. That's why we've invested in a program to help you chart the best course for your organization. Our Dynamics 365 migration program helps you accelerate your journey and minimize risk with 3 simple steps. Here's how it works. First, a Microsoft expert will reach out to help you get started. We'll answer your licensing and technical questions and make sure you're connected with all the current special offers and programs. Second, schedule a migration assessment for an in-depth analysis of your Dynamics 365 migration options. It's designed to help you make informed decisions on moving to the cloud. And you'll receive custom recommendations including scope, timing, and budget with absolutely no obligation. Then you decide the path and timeline that works for your organization. We'll also share several offers to save you time and money with a qualified Microsoft implementation partner, helping you migrate your solution to the cloud. A dedicated Microsoft advisor will support you through your entire migration journey. Microsoft is here with you every step of the way, and we're excited to be on this journey with you.
All right, so that was fairly high level. The benefits of the, switch back to the, apologies. So the benefits of migrating with us are multiple, and the program's actually free of charge. Microsoft will be with you along the way in providing end-to-end support through a dedicated team of migration advisors to answer all the questions, process and technical questions. It's pretty simple. First, you fill out a form on our website. A Microsoft advisor will contact you, provide more details and digital resources, guide you through best practices, advise on next steps, and answer your questions. In this first step, you'll get access to digital resources, best practice guidance, dedicated advisors, technical skill building support from Microsoft experts. Second, you'll be directed to a free standard migration assessment to evaluate the scope of your migration project, the timeline, and receive options and recommendations. You'll also learn about offers that are in market, which incentives apply to your specific scenario. Third, based on that output, you pick the best path forward. You'll receive specific technical guidance. You'll get access to migration tools as well.
Dan, so the migration assessments are delivered by Microsoft directly is the question, and then what would the cost normally be for a migration assessment like this?
So we can't scale direct, so we've selected global partners to deliver the assessment. We've got well over 100,000 customers globally and millions of users, so we need to go through our channel to scale. So we have selected cloud-ready partners to deliver that. It's a 2-day paid engagement paid by Microsoft to the partner, and the value of that engagement is $5,000 per customer. So that'll be covered by Microsoft to a partner to deliver that assessment.
Okay, and just one more question on that slide,
Sure.
there, Dan. So sure. After the assessment, who does the customer work with?
The assessment will be sent to the customer to share with their existing partner. If they don't have an existing partner or there's any satisfaction issues, we're happy to make a suggestion on cloud-ready partners for that customer.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. This is an interesting graphic. Over the years, we've had our ERP solutions in the cloud for quite a while. When customers were doing TCO analysis comparing a move to the cloud versus on-premise, right? A lot of our AX customers obviously own AX as an asset, and they're just paying BREP or maintenance costs. But when you're doing a 3 or 5 year TCO analysis, you really got to take into account that with cloud, you're paying a subscription fee and everything's managed for you as a service, right? There's no hardware refreshes like on premise. We don't need dedicated IT professionals to physically keep servers up to date and running and secure. They can use their time in other ways that drive more value. There's no maintenance payments, so that 16% of your list price that you've been paying over the years, that's now covered in your subscription costs. And there's no expensive upgrades or updates where you're opening POs for partner services. So with the move to the cloud, you can experience not only increased agility and clear operation, but lower total cost of ownership as well. Cloud deployments bring cost savings such as moving CapEx to OpEx with scalable pricing and lower overall costs. Included in your subscription is high availability infrastructure, sandbox environments, production environments, provisioning updates, proactive monitoring, additional use rights, such as embedded Power BI and artificial intelligence. And it also covers what you would normally pay for, fairly costly disaster recovery for hardware and software networking.
And how often do these upgrades happen here from the customer's perspective?
We deliver them twice a year. There's a spring release and there's a fall release. So we automatically roll out new features and updates. It's seamless to customers. They will go into the system in the morning and those new features and functions will be rolled out with no downtime or interruption to their business.
Okay.
In terms of advantages of being in the cloud, obviously real-time visibility into your business, automatic backup and restore. I'm sure many of you know we've opened 2 data centers in Canada, one in Montreal and one in Toronto. So we have geo-redundant backup of your data without leaving the country, automatic backup and restore, 24/7, 365 SLAs, constant updates, as I mentioned. So most customers that are moving, either coming up to a hardware refresh or dealing with specific pains. So those pains may include inefficient labor-intensive processes, inconsistent execution, rising data center costs, limited visibility into your operations, and no access to innovation accelerators such as artificial intelligence, machine learning. So you'll find you get a world of possibilities when data is hosted in the cloud. Reasons for customers migrating, most see improved productivity as you integrate your operations with the full stack of Microsoft Cloud services such as Office, Outlook, and Power BI, and I know many of you are invested in those areas. You also get a 360-degree view of your business with real-time data insights and business analytics to generate actionable insights and automations of workflows, still having the room to customize the tool to your specific needs. You'll save money because you're not going to physically pay for future upgrades, and you gain better management of infrastructure. Dynamics 365 pricing also includes Azure. So other cost savings you can expect are reduction of data center costs, improved uptime, increased efficiency, and the ability to grow your business with Azure cloud offerings, which are secure, obviously governed with backup and recovery guarantees, and the flexibility to scale up and down as your business needs. In terms of why the Microsoft Cloud, a lot of you are heavily invested in Microsoft technology. If you're like me, you probably spend most of your day with an Outlook. You use extensively our productivity tools, Office 365, Microsoft Teams, SharePoint, LinkedIn, the Power Platform. So it really starts with Azure, right? Our global cloud infrastructure. It's trusted, it's hybrid, it's a secure platform for business with unmatched security. We invest over $1 billion a year in cloud security and have more than 3,500 security experts to protect your information. So your data is more secure in our cloud than in a data center sitting in your server room. We've broken down silos of data as well. So ERP, CRM, and productivity tools, you no longer toggle between multiple applications. We infuse relevant ERP and CRM data where you can see it right within your Outlook client. Data is all in one spot. It's highly secure. It's fully integrated with your Microsoft solutions, providing a unified platform. In the end, it's more secure. You're always on the latest version, and you can focus on your business and not the technology behind it.
Okay. So Dan, what's the next step if a customer wants to take part in the standard Microsoft migration assessment?
Sure. So you can nominate yourself. We'll send these details out, but if you go to the first link, that will allow you to nominate yourself for the Dynamics 365 migration program. Once the nomination process and the approvals are done, Microsoft will fund that migration assessment for you. Again, the value of that's $5,000 per customer. If you want more details on the cloud migration program, there is a link there for you, which will be sent out. If you'd like to discuss offline directly with Microsoft, I'm happy to have a conversation with you. I've included my email alias there. We can also discuss any offers in market. So we have some pretty significant discounts for customers looking to transition from on-premise to cloud that have active maintenance. So we can discuss what those offers look like. Those are across CSP, EA agreements as well. So we can discuss that as well. Great. We'll also provide, when Guy sends out the deck, some resources for you. So a curated list of assets for the migration program, along with some customer evidence that you can all share internally. So we'll provide that as well. All right, now I'll pass it back to Guy.
Great. Thanks, Dan. So just some things that stood out and I wanted to remind you of. If you have AX, you have an important decision to make soon at the crossroads, as they call it. So know the key facts and just don't be confused or misinformed by the wrong information. We'll follow up with a slide deck and other related information by PDF or links for you to help remind you to keep this thing top of mind. Contact your Dynamics partner to determine your best migration path, and together you guys can determine that. As Dan mentioned there, take a moment to nominate your company for the Microsoft Migration Assessment Program, probably to some degree first in, processed first if you qualify. And then there's going to be a survey coming up, a one-question survey that our producer Graziella will be putting up with a link. Please fill it out now and you'll get an opportunity to win in a draw a Microsoft Roots jacket, as I mentioned. And those are some of the things that I can think of in terms of summary. We hope this has been thought-provoking, so maybe move to the next slide. Thanks, Dan. Okay, Graziella, it's over to you to launch the question for them, and then we'll move in a few minutes to our question and answer portion of our webinar. Okay, while they're doing that, maybe let's move to our technical people slide for a moment. Actually, before we go there, actually just back up one sec, Dan, thanks. We'll leave the slide up just for a moment so that the email addresses are handy. They'll be in the follow-up. For the attendees from the USA to the south, thank you for attending. Umut from New York will be your contact point, or contact me. And Umut will be also having a webinar in the near future that you're welcome to attend, and we'll certainly make you aware of that. And so next slide. So we're going to go to the question and answer section here. There are some questions up there that I know Dan will be able to handle some of those. My three colleagues here, located in many different locations, are happy to answer your technical questions either live now or if there's any more that aren't answered, we will follow up all the way to the top of the hour and beyond if we can capture who we received the technical question from. So we're looking for some questions here. Okay, I've got one, Dan, I think it's going to be for you, from Craig. There's credits and discounts provided for the value of current on-prem licenses towards subscriptions. Can you elaborate on that?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. There are credits to move from AX to D365 Finance and Operations on premise. And then there's, I believe, a 40% discount on a cloud subscription. Craig, if you want to email me, I can forward you both of those. It's danmen, DANMEN @microsoft.com. And I can make sure you have both of the latest offers that are in market.
Okay, thank you. I've got one here that you may or may not be able to answer. You might have to take this offline, but it's just talking about Azure billing and how that works with Dynamics 365. Does that ring any bells?
There's no additional Azure cost unless you need additional storage. So Azure is included with the cloud subscription for Dynamics, unless you are storing. You go beyond your storage limit, you wouldn't be charged.
Okay, great. Glenn's talking about how are customers handling the 8 upgrades per year. Maybe clarify that if you can, if you know, you can answer that live.
We've reduced the cycle, so they're not as much as an upgrade, rather than what we hope is seamless updates. I found a little more around CRM in the past than impact around AX, but we are working to deliver them seamlessly with no downtime. That's covered by our 99.999% uptime SLA, which is also financially backed. So we're seeing less and less challenges in terms of the impact to our end customers.
Okay, thanks. Keep the questions coming. I've only got a few in the queue here, but I've got one that's going to take you a minute or more to answer this one. It may be a broad question as well. So can you talk about, this is to you, Dan, how long it takes to upgrade? I know that's challenging. We are 40 users, and I know this is a broad question, but maybe you can speak to it at a high level.
So I'll caveat this, I'm not a solution architect by any means. It would depend. It would depend what you have deployed, any ISVs that are on top of the FNO platform that you have for AX. And if it was multiple lines of business or it's multi-company, we know it would be very different. I think that's probably a good outcome of having that assessment done. That would kind of give you clarity on all those answers. So I don't think I can answer that. I've seen, 2-3 months. I've seen longer, depending on what workloads customers want to bring on and what would deliver greatest ROI for them. Obviously, that's something they normally schedule first, and just so there's not so much business change, normally that's staggered.
Okay.
Let me add one point here. If we're doing as is upgrade, it's 2 months, 3 months. But if you're doing reprocessing, re-engineering of the process, and utilizing the new functionalities coming with D365, then it takes depends on the customer, the scope. So I would say that 2-3 months to something. It all depends on how much we're going to utilize or reprocess the operations.
That's a good point. In some of our releases, this wasn't not AX, but it was Business Central last year. We rolled out 364 new features. 100 of them were actually asks from our partner channel and customers. So they try to deliver on those. So it'd really be the relationship with your partner, understanding your business. Obviously, you're not going to leverage all of those, but what would make sense and drive impact to your business.
Thanks, Salami. Thanks, Dan. So, Dan, maybe just to elaborate a little bit on something that stood out for me was some of the voice of the customer stuff that you guys captured, maybe anything you wanted to add or to reinforce with maybe some of the customers' misnomers or some of the things they weren't sure of that you heard out there that you want to speak to right now, just to raise comfort levels, because obviously this is a big undertaking, and just sort of to mitigate some of the fears.
Yeah, we've got a couple of programs. One is Fast Track. It's essentially provides customers and the deployment partner with access to our R&D and engineers and solution architects. Most customers on this call are corporate in size. That is, depending on the amount of users, that is something we can apply for. So it gives you a project manager, solution architect, and access to that team. So if there's any hurdles that are trying to be overcome, or you run into any challenges, we have that team engaged. Voice of the customer is really a portal where you can go as a customer or partner and request functionality, and based on the commonality of the functionality and how much it's requested, they prioritize that. And they delivered 6 of the top 10 in the last release. So it's really the upgrades and updates are heavily based on what our channel's demanding, as well as our end customers.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Maybe Salami, Masood, or Irfan, you might want to think about adding to this question that's up on the screen right now from Glenn. I think it's more your department here. And the question is, how does D365 handle shared data across companies? For example, customer data, and I'm guessing this is CDS and more, but Salami, Masood, or Irfan, one of you want to speak to this briefly?
Hello, I can answer this question. The shared data is managed in a built-in function in Dynamics 365. There is already a standard function, and you can define your tables and you can define your legal entities to share this data. So it is a standard function in the system. I can.
Okay. Thanks. Any other additions or comments from Salami or Irfan?
Yeah, there is one from my side. The new product is also really strong about this security object. So you can define your roles, your privileges for legal entities. So there is no problem sharing data across the companies, because everything managed by security roles and privileges. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Good. Dan, anything around talk about sort of COVID remote access, remote abilities, and what the cloud has done for companies who were forced to have their staff work remotely, and what role has D365 and the cloud played in helping companies with this?
Sure, we've obviously seen the most adoption within Microsoft Teams, just because that's enabling remote work. We've had a lot of existing customers either deploy remote desktop or purchase additional users to enable that remote work. And we've had a lot push forward with, we're going to use this time where we may not be as busy as usual to invest and transform. So we're seeing a lot of customers right now look at cloud enabling, obviously, mobility on any device, web-based, rather than it sitting on a server, and with the complexity and security challenges there. So we're seeing a lot of adoption across D365 customer engagement to enable customer service, a lot on Power Apps to build applications to respond to COVID. We've enabled for customers that were impacted by COVID free Microsoft Teams usage for 6 months if they're a new customer. We've had some customers use Remote Assist. That's free for 6 months, especially to manufacturers who can't go in and have people come in at different sites to do inspections. We had some customers request complimentary licenses to help do those remote inspections as well. So we have some offers in market for customers to help address that. But obviously those that are in the cloud, I was talking to an oil and gas company out west, and they were pretty thrilled. They made a cloud decision, which just helped them seamlessly move everyone to remote work with no impact, rather than obviously scrambling to do that on short notice. So yeah, those are kind of the areas where we've invested to help with business continuity, and that's kind of what we see from customers is more than ever is adopting cloud first.
Okay, thanks. I'm going to put you on the spot here in just a second, Dan, and see if you can come up with something, and I'll give you a minute to think about it here, because we're just have a few technical questions that are being answered here. But Salami, anything that you can think of in terms of our AX to D365 finance and operations upgrade projects we've done in mind that you can allay people's fears on? That's the one for you to think about for 1 second. And then Dan, the question for you is maybe, is there anything you can tell us that Microsoft has in mind that we might be seeing soon that you can release to us here? Sometimes there's things that are just on the cusp, and you can tell us about what Microsoft is doing, if anything. I know I put you on the spot. So back to you, Salami. Anything you can think of in terms of the major things that you've learned from customers who are maybe reticent to start the upgrade because of the business interruption, for example?
Yeah, we have good enough, practice on-hand practice doing, upgrade from on-prem version to the cloud. Even, last 15 years of ETG, business life, we're doing all these type of, upgrades like version 4 to version 2009, version 2009 to version 12. But right now the topic is moving all 2009 and 2012 to Dynamics 365. So when it comes on the air, all doing the upgrade, having on-hand practice, providing us so many best practices, shortcuts, utilization, efficiency, even from 2009 to Dynamics 365 on cloud. Even we're not, suggesting, insisting maybe to moving to on-prem version of 365, but if there is a case, we have also that practice as well. So when we talk about the upgrade, we generally saying that we're upgrading data, we're upgrading codes, and we re-engineering the process if our clients are thinking to utilizing to new functionalities. And when we look at our experience, my last sentence, I would say we have done in retail industry, we have done upgrades in chemical industry, manufacturing industry, we have done upgrades in machinery industry, we have done upgrades. So from different industry perspective, we have upgrade experience. As I said, not only including the cloud, but also the on-prem as well. And when you look at the segmentation of our clients, few of them are 40 user, 50 user. Some of them are like plus 100 user, few of them 500 user level, the clients. And we have also experienced so many, as one of the question asked, how we handle, Dynamics 365 upgrade, because there are twice in a year and there are some releases between the quarters. So we have already practiced those upgrades, continuous upgrade in 365 as well that we, providing confidence to our clients. Okay.
Perfect. Good. Thanks for adding that in. Any quick sound bite to add, Masood or Fan? Otherwise, I'm going to go back to Dan and see if he has something to share to close off our webinar for today. Okay.
Not from my side, but if there is any question, I'll be happy to answer for the left of a couple of minutes.
Sure. Either right up to the top of the hour we'll be on, or afterwards if someone wants to get an email off to me. There's our email addresses have been on the screen and they'll be sent to you tomorrow. So over to you, Dan. I really appreciate your time and sharing this 3/4 of an hour with us. Any closing thoughts for the attendees, who we appreciate all your time, and as customers we appreciate your business.
Yeah, in terms of the upcoming releases, we do have some guidance on what's going to be delivered. They hold, from an R&D and product engineering perspective, things fairly close. So I can see what's publicly available. We can send that out with your follow-up guide. But no, I hope, first of all, I see some customers on here that have been customers for over a decade with us, and you've been faithfully paying maintenance for years, and we're delivering a ton of innovation in the cloud. When you kind of silo Dynamics on-premise, and Microsoft touts $14-15 billion a year in research and development, a lot of that goes into all our cloud applications, right? It goes into LinkedIn, it goes into finance and operations and field service and sales and marketing and the Power Platform and AI and machine learning, and you really benefit from all that information more so in the cloud than on-premise. So, I hope you leverage the migration program to give you some guidance on what's best for you. For some customers, that may be you're going to remain on-premise. You're just going to go to D365 finance and operations on-prem, and for some, there'll be a lot of innovation they can drive by being in the cloud and having a unified platform across all of your Microsoft investments. So it's free. We're heavily investing in it. It's not something we're delivering organically. We are bringing on some of our best global partners to deliver these assessments for you, and we've removed that cost. So I hope you take advantage of it, and at least do some due diligence and be well informed on which is the best platform for you to all be on moving forward. And Guy, I appreciate you inviting me and the opportunity to speak to everyone today.
Great. Masood, I see you might be off of mute. You might have a final word. Otherwise, we're just going to thank everybody and call it a day. I don't see any more questions right now, or technical or otherwise, in the Q&A panel. So any last words from anybody? Thank you very much to our producer, Graziella from Aero Electronics. Please support them if you can. And I think that with that, we will call it a day.
Guy, did we get the survey done, or are you going to send it out by email?
The survey, Graziella, was offered to the audience, and then we're going to follow up with anybody in the follow-up email, give them another opportunity to have an opportunity to win the Microsoft jacket. Perfect. It's sitting at my desk, but we're not allowed in the office till October. So when it gets chilly out, you'll be sent your jacket. Yeah, good timing. I love it. Yeah. Good. Okay. Right. That's it. We're closing off. Thanks all. Appreciate it. Dan, Salami, Masood, or Fan, thanks for being part of the team. And Graziella for your wonderful behind-the-scenes engineering. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.